It's been a fairly long time coming, but it's time to purge the PS4 and the PS5 collections. And purge I did. This is the receipt that I received from trading in all of the games that I no longer wanted in the collection. Now, what games did I trade, or rather, what games didn't I trade? I think that might be the easier way to go about this. I kept just 4 games on the PlayStation 5, and in fact 2 of those I wasn't bothered about keeping, but there are reasons why I still have them. The biggest reason for keeping games is going to be if they are exclusive, or whether they're just far too expensive on the Xbox, or maybe they don't have physical releases. But the PlayStation 5 games that I kept for one reason or another are F1 Manager 22, reason for that was it just doesn't trade in for much at all. I kept Far Cry 6 because it's still sealed, and I think I can get more for it if I just try and sell it and then pick up the copy on the Xbox. Road 96, this is far more expensive on the Xbox I think than it is on the PlayStation, and it actually sells for a fair bit, so I've got it listed right now but I'm in no rush to sell it. And of course my Sifu. Now this is a fantastic game, one of the best I've played in the last 10-20 years, really enjoyed it. I've actually got the tin on display on my shelf. The reason I didn't trade this in is because it's far more expensive on the Xbox than it is on the PlayStation, so I'll keep hold of my PlayStation copy for now, and in time maybe I'll pick up the Xbox version. When it comes to the PlayStation 4, I kept this many games, and again the reasons are pretty much exactly the same. Contra Rogue Corps doesn't really trade in for anything. Crash Dummy also doesn't really trade in for anything. And Deus Ex, they actually want me to pay them to take it off me, so I kept those 3. I don't actually know if this has an Xbox release, but it kind of goes the same with Dino Dini's Kickoff. And the rest of these are basically exclusives in one way or another. American Fugitive is on the Xbox as far as I can tell, but not physically. Horizon Zero Dawn, obviously a PlayStation exclusive. Same goes for Killzone. Rico is not a PlayStation exclusive, but again, I don't think you can get this on Xbox physically. Shadow of the Colossus, obviously PlayStation exclusive. The Last Guardian is a PlayStation exclusive, as is The Order 1886. Trubberbrook is a fairly recent pickup. It's gone up in price recently as well. I think it dropped down and it went back up again. You can get this on the Xbox digitally, but not physically. And Where the Heart Leads, which is a really interesting looking game that I still haven't played and that I will eventually one day before I die, but my main takeaway here is you can't get this on Xbox, physically at least. And those are the only games I now own on the PlayStation 5 and the PS4, and I did trade in a PS2 game. I have most of the PlayStation 2 games that I want. There is one game that I have, which is the Simpsons game, which you can also get on the Xbox, so why would I have it on the PlayStation? I'm never going to play that, so I decided I would trade it in, as it trades in for £4, and it was in decent enough condition to trade in. I say decent enough, it was actually in really good condition. And of course in the last series video I asked you to guess how much money, or how much credit rather, do you think I would get for the entire trade. So if you said £302.70, you would have been absolutely spot on. The receipt here actually reads £292.70, and of course that £10 from Shredder's Revenge takes it up to 302, meaning I now have £302.70 on a voucher to go absolutely nuts with. You've actually seen this clip before. This was Cuphead. I wanted to pick it up and put it back down and pick it back up because that's the way you do things when you record. It's got damage on it. It was £12. It's actually now gone up to 15, which is a little bit annoying. I wanted it, but I didn't want it damaged. The reason why I traded in Turtles Shredder's Revenge is because I wanted to pick up a Turtles game that they had on the Xbox. They just had it traded in, and I wanted to pick it up, so I needed the credit for it. And I've kind of like wasted most of, well, not wasted, but spent all of the credit that I have, and the game was of course a like for like, so I traded in my Turtles Shredder's Revenge and I picked up Turtles Shredder's Revenge. And here it is. Now this is the Xbox One version as opposed to the Series X version, although in my experience they look exactly the same and they are the exact same game. Why there's no price on it is because the Xbox games annoy me, right? So there is a price on it, it's on the back. I really dislike the Xbox games when you open them and the game is on the wrong side. What the hell is that all about? So I am systematically going through every single game that I own and I'm flipping it the other way because the disc needs to be on that side. That's the way it's been forever. So for £2, I transferred over to the Xbox version. It's on Game Pass. I know a lot of people will say, well, why have you bought it if you can play it digitally? And I have done a video about this recently if you want to go check that out. We don't really come to any real conclusion there. We just have a little discussion about it. And of course, you saw the Cowabunga collection there, and that is a game that I need to pick up. I was just having a bit of an argument with myself at that point, and it's actually what prompted me to make the last video that I made. So in the previous video, I talked about how I felt like a bit of a fraud for playing games digitally when I already have them physical upstairs. I just couldn't be bothered to go and get the disc when I can just click play on Game Pass, for example. This game exists on Game Pass. I traded my version of this in to go and get this before I did the big trade. So I will pick it up at some point, just not in this video. What I will pick up in this video though is a Vinted pickup. That didn't really work. But anyway, this actually took a long time to arrive. I was waiting for this for well over, I don't know, 10 days. The guy was on holiday and didn't tell me. And then when I questioned like where it was and if he'd sent it, he said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on holiday. When I get round to sending it, I'll put something a little extra in there because you had to wait. So I thought, oh, happy days. It's mainly 360 games, although there is an Xbox One game in there as well. I got these unbelievably cheap. It was like £7 or £8 delivered. The guy had like bundle discounts on of 50%. He was selling, he's got over 1,000 listings on Vinted, which is it's impressive, but it's all £1 and £2 things. So I was a bit dubious about what the condition of these were going to be like. This was the thing he threw in, The Sims 3 on the PC. I'm not ungrateful, but what the hell am I going to do with that? Like, it's not worth anything. It's not ever going to get played. My PC doesn't even have a disk drive these days because why would it? So what am I going to do with it? It's literally just going to have to go in the attic, in the bin. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Anyway, let's move on to other games here. The next game was Dragon Age. Now, of course, I do have Dragon Age 2, bought it in a budget buy a long time ago, and I didn't own it, so there it is, complete with manual. The disc itself wasn't particularly great, but it wasn't broken, and that's all I can really ask for. The next game is The Sims 3, but this time on the Xbox 360. It is a grey, disgusting classics with a green classics disc. I think they all have that. Again, the condition of this one isn't particularly great, but I'm sure it'll play, and it had the manual, so who am I to complain? Let's move on down the line here. We have Star Trek. Of course, there are a couple of Star Trek games on the 360. This is one that I have played very briefly. Again, complete with manual. Condition of this one was not bad, to be fair. Much better than the other two, so I'm not going to complain at that one. I've got a couple more games to go, and of course I will then show you actually I've only got one game to go, then I will show you the Xbox game. I was a bit nervous about this. This is GTA 5. The condition of the back, it looks like it's been shot, which is quite adept, quite fitting, there we go, for GTA. I was a bit nervous with this because, of course, it is a 2-disc game, and I thought it was only going to come with one. The play and the install, they're not in amazing condition, but they will absolutely play. The wonderful thing about this, though, which I was absolutely not expecting, is that it came complete with the manual and the map, would you believe? And they're in pretty good condition, so I absolutely cannot complain. I think it's like £4 in CEX. And then it comes to the Xbox game, which is The Crew 2. This is a £6 game in CEX. Couple of minor scratches, a little manual there as well. I am absolutely not going to complain about the haul there because it could have been much, much worse. Let's just forget that PC game exists. I genuinely don't know what I'm going to do with it. But that right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in total for £7 or £8 delivered. Not a bad deal when you consider the fact that that by itself is £6. I think it even trades for 4, so if I really wanted to, I could recoup some of it in voucher. Not going to, obviously. That is £4 in CEX as well. I'm pretty sure that is £4 in CEX. That is not £4. I think that's like £1 or 2, but still, I needed it. It's not in the best of conditions, if I'm honest, but it's not terrible. And that one is just shy of £4 at £3. I would have much preferred this to not be classics, but I'm not going to complain too much about it. I actually really like The Sims. I don't particularly like them on the console, though, so I don't know if I'll play it much, but I will definitely give it a go because I haven't played a console Sims game since the PS2. But it's nice to knock off a few games off the list, all complete as well, which is nice to see. Let's talk about my PS2 collection for a second. So what I've done here is in these 2 big DVD towers that I have, I've arranged them so that I'm just going to show off all of the PlayStation stuff that I have. Now, I obviously don't have much PlayStation stuff left, and that is by design. I'm just more of an Xbox person. It's why I moved over to the Series X from the PS5, but I will continue to collect for the PS5 and indeed the PS4 if there are some exclusives there or games I can't get physical on the Xbox, for example. When it comes to the PS2, I have the majority of what I want, if I'm honest. There are maybe 1 or 2 games that I don't own on the PlayStation that I wouldn't mind picking up, but there is something that I want to do, or at least start doing soon. I won't talk about it in this video because it's a bit of a discussion and there's lists and things to go through when it comes to it, and I may or may not print some stuff off and be a little bit fancy. So I do actually have a Turtles game on the PS2 that is available on the 360. It only trades in for £2, so I thought for now anyway I'll just keep it because it's only £2. Simpsons was 4 and it was a little bit different. I don't know why. But the rest of the PS2 games, they will remain for now, but we'll talk more about that era of gaming a little bit later in another video. So with £290 worth of credit burning a hole in my pocket, what did you expect I was going to do? I went to the pawn shop 3 doors down and spent money on games. You absolutely can't see this because of glare and oh my god, the flashing lights. I think I'll just give you a freeze frame. They do actually have a copy of Blitz the League 2 in the window there on the Xbox 360, but they want £45, which is more than CEX one. I saw this and I was very tempted, and it did give me that sort of where you have it digitally. I do have it, GTA that is, on the Series X digitally from a long time ago when I first had the Xbox. It was £10 and I didn't buy it, reason being I have it digitally, which is stupid because I have a fair few games digitally and I've still bought them physical, or I have them on Game Pass, for example, and I still buy them physical. So I need to get over that. There's quite a few sort of Just Cause games here knocking about the place. They've got a couple of Far Cry games as well. Unfortunately, this place is not what it used to be. They wanted £10 for Red Dead 2, which is not a bad price at all. I did trade in my Red Dead 2. I stopped playing it a long time ago because I want to play it on the Xbox, doing their job for them there. So I thought, well, I'll trade mine in on the PlayStation and I will pick it up on the Xbox at some point. If you go on Vintage, you can get that for nearly a £5 there or thereabouts. So I was very tempted to do that, and I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I was tempted to buy it for a tenner for like a brief second, and then I decided against it. There were a fair few games here that I wanted to buy, but I couldn't really justify spending too much cash because, of course, I have a lot of credit. But there were 3 games that were cheaper than CEX, and the first of which is For Honor. This is a game I had on the PlayStation, traded it in for like £1.60 or £2, and I picked it up in Regenerate, which is the name of the store, for just £1. I also picked up Far Cry 5. This was also £1, which was really surprising to me because this is about £4 or £5 in CEX. So rather than go in there and use credit, I can come over to Regenerate and spend £1 on this game. And again, it is complete and in decent condition as well. The final game I bought is actually on Game Pass. In fact, maybe Far Cry is as well, I don't know. But this one was £3, but they reduced it down to £1.50. It's UFC 2, and as you can see, they have reduced it to £1.50. It cost me £3.50 in total to get 3 Xbox One games. This is my favourite UFC. Granted, I haven't played the 5th one. I didn't like the 3rd one for whatever reason. £3.50 spent, 2 of which I really want to play, and then For Honor I will play eventually, although I don't know how I'm going to get on with it. Then I sold something, and this might not make an awful lot of sense to many of you, and I had to kind of justify it to myself as well. I sold what I basically had of my Xbox One collection. What are you talking about? Well, I sold all of the Call of Duty games that I had. So right here we have World War II, Black Ops 3 and 4, Advanced Warfare, Modern Warfare, Ghosts, and Infinite Warfare. And I managed to sell them all for £40 plus postage on eBay, which is actually more than CEX sell them for. And I will be honest, they're not necessarily in the best of conditions. Who the hell is buying them? I've got no idea. But I sold them because they're Call of Duty. And to be quite frank, I don't really care. World War II is the only game there that I want to buy back again. The rest of them, I couldn't care less whether they disappeared off the face of the earth. I will probably never play them unless I run out of games to play. I've played everything on the planet and the only thing left is Black Ops 4. Then I might consider it. But if someone is willing to give me £40 in cash for these, I am not going to turn that down because these are games that I'm probably never going to play. And if I want to play them, funnily enough, I can go into CEX and buy them cheaper than I sold them for. Like I said, I don't know who's buying these for £40, so that should push us back over that £100 mark in cash, which is quite nice. And then it was time to actually spend some of the credit. Now I'm not going to go mad here and walk into CEX with like just shy of £300 and drop the whole thing. yes, I need to replenish my collection. There are loads of games on the PlayStation that I traded that I want back again. But I'm not just going to go in here and buy them all, because I need to spread it out a little bit. So as I walk into... I mean, this is a glorious CEX. I really like the layout of it. Yes, it's messy, and yes, I complain about it a lot, but I do really enjoy this CEX. And of course, this is my local. Now, there are plenty of games, as I mentioned, that I could easily have picked up to replenish the collection. Here again, with the Cowabunga collection, 15 quid, despite the fact that it's 12. It was on that little rack off to the side. This was 25, down to 18. Just haven't changed the price of it. They have since recording this, because I recorded this a little while ago, to be fair. But still, they had it on the rack ready to go out, and then had the chance to change the price and didn't. Alien Isolation for 6 and 8. So, you know, you choose which one you want. I watched the new Alien Romulus the other day, and oh my days did I enjoy myself watching that film. I am a big Alien fan, big fan of it. This was my first pickup of the day. This is Creed Champions Boxing. Not only do I love Alien, I love Rocky Balboa as well, and this was a game that I needed to play. Now, unfortunately, it's not the realistic game that I was kind of hoping it would be, and I knew that before I bought it. I didn't just buy it, play it, and go, oh, this is a over-the-top, kind of like Battlegrounds WWE version. I really like boxing games, and I love it when they do it well. So when Undisputed got announced, I was really excited for it. When it came out, I bought it on PC. I played it a fair bit, but now I'm waiting for it on console, and I will play it to death. Not as good as Fight Night still, in my opinion. Big fan of Fight Night Champion. But when it comes to Rocky, I will put the sort of nostalgia goggles on, and I'll just try and listen to the music and enjoy it for what it is. £12 for that might be a little bit excessive, I'm not really sure, but they do have an awful lot of the old fighters in this. I was going to say wrestlers then. And of course they do have the new ones with Adonis Creed, for example, but I'm really excited to give that a go. And once I finish playing what I'm currently playing, Power Wash Simulator, I know, that game, man, I'll talk about it in another video, but I'm going to give this a go. Onward we go with the search through the Xbox section, and I think I have 2 more Xbox One games to pick up, and I actually do pick up a 360 game as well, because despite the fact that I've got all this credit from trading in all the PS4 and PS5 stuff, doesn't mean I'm still not going to look for 360 games. That's not dead now. I will continue to pick up those games. There are a large number of games on this platform that I want, but I kind of half made a rule with myself. If the game is £5 or under, I won't use credit for it unless it's an extreme case where I absolutely have to have it. But if it's £5 and under, I think what I'm going to do is do like some sort of budget buy where I go in with some cash. And that kind of brings me to this game. Mortal Kombat 11, one of the most recent games that I've actually completed. I don't really know if there's any difference between this and the PlayStation 5 version that I had. The PlayStation 5 version I think traded in for like £10 or something, and this was only £6. And that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love the Xbox, right? But I really do enjoy Mortal Kombat games, and I really enjoyed myself when I played through the single player campaign of this one, and I'm going to do it all over again, not just for achievements, although that is definitely a draw, but because I just enjoyed it. And of course there is Mortal Kombat X and 1 on the platform as well that I will absolutely have to pick up at some point, but for today £6 of the credit has gone on Mortal Kombat 11. Let's continue on through the games. You'll see plenty there that you know full well I need to pick up at some point. So for example, I've just traded in all of my Resident Evil games, which is, it was a little bit painful to do that if I'm honest, and Resident Evil will always be a PlayStation game to me because that's how I played it, obviously. As a kid, PlayStation 1, Resi 2, I think I played Resi 1 on there as well, obviously. But now that I'm on the Xbox, I don't really see the point in having games on both platforms if you can just collect them all for one, and because I prefer the Xbox, I'm going to have to collect them all on the Xbox. So yes, I saw Resi 4 there. I will pick it up, but it's not really at the forefront of my list. I don't have an urge to play the Resi games just yet. I will do, and I will play them, and I'm looking forward to getting them all, but I kind of want to get them all and then start going through them one by one. There's the damaged Cuphead that was still £12 actually, even though it has gone up in price because they're useless in here and they haven't updated the price for it for some reason. Not that I'm complaining necessarily, I say they're useless. They are good for the most part, just not when it comes to updating prices on the Xbox for some reason. Dead Rising and Doom, very, very cheap games. Like I said, they're under that £5. Evil Within, again, is also there. Far Cry 5, which I've already picked up, of course, is what, £4 or £5 there, and then Dying Light 2 at 18. I said in another video that I just felt like that was a little bit too high. I don't know why I expected it to be less. It is a game I want to play because I haven't actually played it, but yeah, 18 quid for that, just a little bit on the higher side. I've never seen that before, so I thought I'd have a quick look. Project Cars, again, they're really cheap games, so I'll go in here one day and I will look to spend like £10-15 of the cash that we have on budget buys. I'll go pick up some 360 and some Xbox and maybe some other platforms that I am collecting for, just on the lower end really. Start looking at the Transformers games. Of course, this is one that kind of comes under that £5, but there is another Transformers game that I'm going to pick up here that looks interesting. Never played this. £20, which is not a lot of money on this console. Obviously, brand new games come out at like 60-70, right? But didn't want to buy that just yet. I was very tempted by this. This has actually dropped to 6 now. Tour de France 2021. I do want a new Tour de France game. I don't particularly want the 21 version. I don't know why I want them either. I just find them interesting. I do really like sports games, and of course I'm well into running. I've mentioned this many a time. So the closest I could get really was probably that Tour de France game. Sekiro at 28. It's actually gone up to 30 now. I've mentioned this before, and I wanted The Walking Dead, the Telltale collection, which they have here in this CEX, and I was trying to find it and I couldn't, despite the fact that it says they have one online. And I was looking everywhere. I asked at the till, they didn't know where it was. Someone has put it down in some random place. It'll turn up, I got told. So yeah, wait until it does turn up, I guess. One more Xbox game to show you, and it's actually a game I played on the PlayStation 5, I think, and I didn't really enjoy it too much, but I'm more than happy to give it another go, especially for this price, and that is Wreckfest. I played it for about an hour and a half the first time round, and as I mentioned, I can't say that I had a really good time with it. It wasn't like a super enjoyable experience. It wasn't bad. It is very Destruction Derby-esque without the quality. I joke, but the added sort of bonus of achievements in this is going to make me play it and probably stick with it to a point where I do find enjoyment with it, and that's what I love about the achievement system. A lot of people are very quick to judge and criticize and laugh and joke about the fact that you need achievements to play video games. Oh, I can't believe you've bought an Xbox just because you want achievements. But it does make you play the game, and it makes you play the game in a way that maybe you wouldn't before. Maybe you'll go a different direction that you normally would, or go out of your way to do something specific, and it makes you explore more of the game than it would if you weren't going for trophies or achievements. And that might not be what you want out of the game, but I've discovered a lot more in other games, and giving you extra little challenges to do just to unlock this achievement makes me appreciate the game just that little bit more. So it might not be for everyone, but when it comes to a game like Wreckfest, I feel like achievements are going to make me sit there and play it a little bit longer, and if it gets to a point where I'm still not enjoying it, well, I can just turn it off. But I've had it a lot with Xbox 360 games, where I've started playing it and maybe not been feeling it, but I thought, well, I've got 10 points on this now, I can't just leave it there, I've got to continue to play it. And I do, and I unlock a few more and a few more, and then after a while I'm like, do you know what, actually, I'm quite enjoying this, and I'm going to finish it. And then I do finish it, and then I'm glad I've done it. So hopefully that's the case with Wreckfest, and hopefully it's the case with my next pickup. I do have footage of me picking this up at some point, but I can't for the life of me find it right now, so you're going to have to just deal with me blind talking over whatever footage you're currently looking at. The game that I picked up here is actually the second one of two. I don't think there's a third, and it was £8, which, okay, it's not expensive by any stretch, but it is a little bit of money, if you will, to be spending on a game that you know absolutely nothing about. I don't even know how to say it, but I looked at the cover and it looked interesting. It's not a cover that you see very often. It does say special edition written on the front, which kind of made me think that this might be a different variant. And without any further ado, the game is Risen, and that's how I'm going to call it. It is complete, it's in good condition, and it is the special edition version, whatever the hell that means. But this is Risen 2. Of course, there is a first one. I don't think the first one is more expensive than this. I think it's actually cheaper than this. I'm guessing it's some sort of RPG, third person-esque. That's what it looks like on the back, and from the first line that you read, it literally says, embark on an epic journey with your trusted companions. That to me screams RPG, and I do like games like this that you can get your teeth sunk into, go and get collectibles, craft things and stuff like that. So I'm hoping it's that kind of thing, but I've never seen anything of this game, so I've got no idea about it at all. But when I saw it there, I was like, well, I want to buy that at some point. I have the credit, don't see it very often. I might as well blind buy it now. If you've played this or indeed the first one, let me know what you think of them and which one is better. And are they RPGs or are they something completely different and I've misread the back of this thing? I don't normally like adding that many games in one go, and to be fair, in the last few episodes I've been doing that. But of course I had an awful lot of credit. That deal on Vinted was just too good to pass up. And of course 3 games in a pawn shop, again too good to pass up for £3.50. The Xbox One collection is now being filled out quite nicely. I won't be filling it with fodder for the most part. They are going to be games that I absolutely intend on playing, but when it comes to achievements, trust me when I say I will play anything and everything. So when I say I'm not going to fill it with fodder, I probably will. For the achievements. I actually have another stack of games to show off that I won't be showing you in this video, and I will probably have more by the time it comes for me to record that, but I do want to talk to you about a subset on a particular console that I'm going to go after. There's about 48 games in the subset altogether, and I know you're thinking, what the hell can that possibly be? But I'll talk more about that in another video. I want to say thank you very much for all the support that you show on these videos, whether you just watch them or whether you drop likes and leave comments and such. Every single view and interaction really does help me out a lot, and I'm just really grateful that you spend time and you take time out of your day to watch these videos. So thank you very much. If you want to watch another one, you can click here, transition, and until the next time, goodbye.